Welcome. Today we're going to take a look at creating our edge light base. This is the first in a series of 2 videos that you're going to be watching and following through in order to create your edge light base. This first video is going to be the design process where we create the block. The second video is where you're going to be taking and running the tool paths to get it cut on the CNC mill. So let's begin. I have my inventor open. I also have for my pull down shade at the top, my pointer tool. I am also going to be switching between my pointer tool and my mouse tool, just because different people are comfortable with different icons. We're going to come up to the top. We're going to select new from the ribbon bar and click standard.ipt and click create. Once your drawing loads up, we're going to go up to the top and we're going to select the icon of the drawing with the green plus mark right up here on the left hand side. We're going to put our cursor on the XY plane, click to select it, and then we're going to click front in our world view cube to zoom out. Okay? Let's go up and select our rectangle tool. Everything that we're doing is going to be with the rectangle tool. So we're going to come down to our origin. We're going to click and stretch out a rectangle. We're going to make this super tall so that when we bring our keyboard up, it does not cover up these boxes where the numbers are. Open up your keyboard and we're going to enter our dimensions here. The first dimension we're going to enter right here in this box is going to be 5.25. Press the tab key, which is over here on top of the number 2 or the letter W. Press the tab key, and our other box highlights, and we're going to enter in a number there of 3.5. Once you have 5.25 at the top, 3.5 on the right hand side, press return on your keyboard, put your keyboard away, and we're going to come up to the top right hand corner, green check mark, finish sketch. We're going to come down by our world view cube, click home, which is right here, in order to zoom all and see everything that we just created. Next, let's come up and give our part distance. So I'm going to click our extrude button. I'm going to select our second direction to make our orange arrow point away from us. And I'm going to enter in a distance here by distance A. Open up your keyboard. And I'm going to enter in a distance of 0.75. Put your keyboard away and select OK. That looks great so far. Next, we're going to create the battery holder, so the rectangle for our battery holder. We're going to take a 2D sketch. We're going to place it on our front view. Click front in your world view cube to zoom all. And we're going to take and get our rectangle tool again. Somewhere down towards the lower left-hand corner is where this rectangle is going to start, but make sure you are not starting at the origin. So we want to be on the gray block, click, and we're going to stretch out a rectangle. Once again, we want to make this rectangle nice and tall and big so that when we bring up our keyboard, it doesn't cover up the dimension boxes. Let's open up our keyboard. And in this first box up here in the top, we're going to enter in the number 2. And in the right-hand side, we're going to enter in the distance of 0.69. Sorry, in order to make that happen, you got 2 at the top, press your tab key, and that switches to the right hand box, and then we're going to enter in 0.69. Press return on the keyboard, put your keyboard away, and we have our rectangle down here for the battery. Now we have to dimension it from the left hand side to the rectangle and from the bottom to the rectangle. So let's get our dimension tool. You guys can switch icons if you would like, or pointer tool to mouse if you would like. We're going to click on the left-hand side of your block, click on the left-hand side of your rectangle, and bring this dimension up to the top. Make it nice and tall so we can bring up our keyboard and change that dimension. This dimension is going to be 0.75, and you can either green check mark or press return on the keyboard and put your keyboard away. Next, we're going to dimension from the bottom of our block to the bottom of our rectangle and bring this dimension out. We're going to click to place it. Now, this edit dimension box is way down at the bottom. When we bring our keyboard up, it's definitely going to cover that up. So we're going to take and click, and we're going to move this box up to the top. You can use your mouse if you would like. Make sure that that box is active. Click and hold, and we're going to drag this box up to the top. Okay, so now it's not going to get covered up by our keyboard. Bring up your keyboard, and this dimension we're going to enter in is 0.5, which is a ½ inch. And you can either green check mark, or you can press return on your keyboard and put your keyboard away. Okay, so we're going to go up to the top now, green check mark, finish sketch, and we're going to extrude this rectangle that we just created. Come up to the top ribbon bar, select extrude. You can see that our box highlights, the rectangle highlights, and it's coming out towards us, so we need to flip our direction. Now it's going into the cut position. We're also going to highlight our dimension there for our distance right here. And we're going to bring up our keyboard, and we're going to change that dimension to 0.7, to 0.625, which is 5/8 of an inch. 0.625, we're going to enter into the box right here. Put your keyboard away, and we're going to click OK. Wonderful. This looks great. Next, we'll move on to our box for the switch. So we're going to come up to the top. We're going to select our drawing with the green check mark or green plus mark. That's our 2D sketch. Place it on your front view. Click front in our world view cube. Then we're going to get our rectangle tool. Come back down to the lower right hand corner. This is where our switch rectangle lives. We're going to click, and we're going to make this rectangle. I accidentally clicked twice, not a big deal. We can always select undo from the bar at the top. Click your rectangle tool. We're going to make this rectangle nice and tall and big so that our dimension boxes don't get covered up by our keyboard. Now let's open up our keyboard to change our dimensions. The first dimension you're going to enter in is 0.63. Press the tab key on the keyboard, right above the number 2 or the letter W. And my vertical dimension is going to be 0.82. Press return on your keyboard, put your keyboard away. Now we need to locate the dimension for this box. So we're going to select our dimension tool. We're going to select the right-hand side of our block and the right-hand side of our rectangle. Bring this dimension up, make it nice and tall so we don't have to get it covered up by the keyboard. Bring your keyboard up, and we're going to change this dimension to 1 inch. And then you can either put your keyboard away and click the green check mark, press return on the keyboard, and then put the keyboard away. Either way is fine. Next, we're going to dimension again. We're going to dimension from the bottom of our block to the bottom of our rectangle. Bring this out to the side. Click to place your dimension. And now once again, this dimension box is way down here at the bottom. We can take and bring this up to the top if you would like in order to not have it get covered up by our keyboard. Open up our keyboard. And we're going to change this number to 0.63. And then you can green check mark or press return on your keyboard. And then put your keyboard away. Now let's take and extrude this rectangle. So we're going to green check mark finish sketch. We're going to come over to the left-hand side. We're going to click extrude. We're going to have that go in the flip direction because right now it's adding material on. We want to take and cut that material out. And we're going to enter in a distance here. Open up your keyboard, and we're going to change that number to 0.625, which is 5/8 of an inch. Put your keyboard away. Click OK. And now we're looking great. We have a spot for our battery and a spot for our switch. The next one we're going to enter into is for our LED strip, the LED holder. So I'm going to get my next 2D sketch, the icon of the drawing with the green plus mark, put it on your front view. Click front in our world view cube. Then we're going to get our rectangle tool. Now this one we're going to start sort of in the middle of our gray block. And I'm going to click and I'm going to stretch this rectangle out nice and big and tall, just like we did with the other one, so they don't get covered up by the keyboard. Open up your pull down shade from the top, select your keyboard, and our first dimension we're going to enter in is 4.4. Press the tab key on the keyboard. The second dimension we're going to enter in is 0.6. Press return on the keyboard. Put your keyboard away. And now we need to dimension this. Get your dimension tool from the top ribbon bar. And we're going to select the left-hand side of your block. Select the left-hand side of your rectangle. Bring this dimension up. Make it nice and tall. Click to place it, and now we're going to open up our keyboard and we're going to change this dimension to 0.43. And then you can either green check mark and put your keyboard away, or press return on the keyboard and put your keyboard away. Our next dimension is going to be from the bottom of the block to the bottom of my rectangle. Bring this dimension out to the side, click to place it. This dimension box is kind of low, so we're going to take and move it up to the top. Sometimes I have trouble getting that box to come with the pointer tool, and if that's the case, you can always take and click your mouse, and you can take and move it around with your mouse if you wish. Okay, so that choice is up to you. But we're going to open up our keyboard and we're going to change this dimension to 1.45. Once again, 1.45 we're going to change that dimension to, and then green check mark, put your keyboard away, and now we're going to take and extrude this rectangle as well. Green check mark, finish sketch, select extrude. Once again, we're going to flip the direction of that extrusion so that it cuts, and we're going to change our dimension here. Open up your keyboard. We're going to change that dimension to 0.188, which is 3/16 of an inch. Put your keyboard away and select OK. That's looking better each time that we move forward here. For our last rectangle, this is our final one. We're going to come up to the top, get our 2D sketch, the icon with the drawing in the green plus mark, place it on your front view. Click front in your world view cube, and we're going to get our final rectangle on here. This one we're also going to kind of start in the middle. So I'm going to click and stretch out a rectangle, make it nice and big and tall. Open up your keyboard. Our first dimension that we're going to enter in is 3.55. Press the tab key on the keyboard. Our second dimension we're going to enter in is 0.88. Press return on the keyboard and put your keyboard away. Next, let's give this location. So we're going to dimension for the location of this rectangle. Click your dimension tool. And we're going to click the left-hand side of my block. Click the right-hand side of your block. Bring this dimension up nice and tall. Click to place it. We're going to change our dimension by bringing up our keyboard. We're going to change this dimension to 0.88. You can either green check mark or press return on the keyboard and put your keyboard away. For our last dimension, we're going to dimension from the bottom of our block to the bottom of the rectangle that we just drew. Bring this out to the side, click to place your dimension, And once again, we're going to move this edit dimension box, move it up to the top. And remember, if it's tough for you to get with that pointer tool, go get your mouse tool. And you can click and bring this up so that when we open up our keyboard, we can see the dimension we're entering in. We're going to change this one to 1.3. Press enter on your keyboard, or you can click that green check mark and put your keyboard away. Okay, everything looks great now. Let's take and go to green check mark, finish sketch. We're going to select our extrude tool. Once again, you can see that that's adding material. We want to cut it out, so let's click our flip direction. We want to change our dimension here. Open up your keyboard, and we're going to change this dimension to 0.375, which is 3/8 of an inch. Put your keyboard away, and we're going to select OK. Awesome, you have your edge light base done in the drawings. We're going to take and save this. So let's go up to the top, go to File, orange File in the top left-hand corner. We're going to come down to Save As. We're going to make sure that this is going into our H drive. So up here in the top, it should say first initial last name 000. And for my file name right here, I'm going to open up my keyboard, and I'm going to enter in my last name and edge light. So I have my last name and edge light in here. You're going to enter in your last name and edge light. Don't put in my last name. And then click Save. Awesome. You are done with the first video. The next video that you're going to take a look at is the one how to run your tool pass to get your block cut on the CNC mill. Nice job on this. Move forward to the next video.